TIFU by thinking a home intruder was breaking in at 2 a.m. But it was raccoons with a pizza. I woke up to a whisper at my bedroom window saying, "Don't move." And for a full 10 seconds, I was 100% certain I was about to be the subject of someone's very committed true crime vlog. If you're picturing a masked intruder or a knife gleaming in moonlight, so was I. My heart did that ridiculous pogo dance where it bounces in my throat, and I convince myself I'm not going to hyperventilate until I start hyperventilating. The clock read 2:13 a.m. in the sickly blue glow that makes everything look cinematic and slightly dangerous. Outside, the rain had just stopped and left the world smelling like wet pavement, and the sad sidewalk flowers someone forgot to water. The porch light next door was off. My own hallway lamp had the dim, sleepy hum of someone who doesn't want to fully wake up. I peeled off the covers like a man preparing for a late-night duel and tiptoed to the window. My curtains made that soft shush as they pulled back, and the screen was cool under my palm. I saw a shadow moving on the porch below, one of those elongated, cartoonish human shapes you only notice in horror movies. There was a flashlight, small, narrow, the kind of beam that looks like it should be attached to a police cruiser. The whisper came again, closer this time, "Don't move." I did what any rational adult would do in that moment. I crouched because I am apparently an inch away from a budget action hero and dug through my bedside drawer for the baseball bat I keep for bad vibes. It's a cheap thing I bought after reading a forum thread titled, "What to Do If Your Cat Goes Feral," and it smelled faintly of lemon pledge. With bat in hand, I crept toward the front door, barefoot on cold laminate, listening to the house exhale. The TV downstairs was off, which made the house feel louder. The clock ticked. The house settled. The floor complained under each footstep like an old man. I cracked the door open, a creaky, cinematic creak that would have made Hans Zimmer proud, and peered out. The porch was wet. My welcome mat was doing that betrayed flip because rainwater had bent the fibers. And there, in the full, embarrassing, ridiculous harshness of my porch light, was a form crouched by the recycling bin. Except it wasn't a guy in a mask. It was a raccoon. Two raccoons, actually. Both wearing what can only be described as improvised bandanas left over from some Pinterest dog costume project, I assume. One had its paws around a pizza box, an actual greasy Domino's-style pizza box, and the other was holding my missing fuzzy sock like a trophy. The flashlight beam revealed their faces. Tiny, clever, ringed with that stupid, bandit mask nature gave them. For about 3 heartbeats, I forgot to be scared and reconsidered every decision that led me to own a baseball bat and a starter pack of true crime podcasts. They froze. The one with the pizza gave a very polite head tilt, like a confused dog catching the question, "Who's a good boy?" The one with the sock did a full-body shudder, and then, in a move so audacious it read like caper choreography, dropped the sock at my porch like it had just planted a tiny flag. "Don't move," I whispered back, which is an odd thing to say to a raccoon, but apparently it's what happens when your brain short-circuits between fear and incredulous laughter. Then it got weirder. The raccoon with the pizza, I swear to you this is true, pushed the lid open a sliver with a paw, sniffed, and then made a sound that was equal parts growl and appreciative hum. It was like watching a very furry, very nocturnal food critic. The other raccoon looked up at me, then casually dropped the sock into the pizza box, as if to say, "There you go. We found your sock. Also, we found dinner." At this point, I should have screamed, called animal control, or at the very least taken out my phone. Instead, I did what any sensible adult would do when confronted by an adorable burglar. I laughed. It started as a mouse of a chuckle, and then ballooned into full-throated, ridiculous laughter that sounded like someone filming a blooper reel. The raccoons blinked, considered me, and then resumed their heist like I hadn't interrupted them at all. "Okay," I said, because apparently words are easier than action. "You can have the sock back, but the pizza is mine." The raccoons froze. Then the one with the pizza carefully, meticulously, nudged the box toward me with one paw. I can only assume it was an offering, or a peace treaty, or a raccoon's version of a white flag. Or maybe it was their cunning plan. Distract the human with pizza and run off with the sock and the dignity in one clean motion. I reached down, took the pizza box, and in a move that will probably haunt my dignity forever, opened it. The pepperoni slice I lifted up was somehow colder, and yet still aromatic in that comforting, greasy way that says, someone loved you enough to order you food at 1 a.m. The raccoon with the sock sat back on its haunches and let out a series of triumphant chirps. "You know," I told them, because we evidently respect polite conversation now, If you wanted to break into my house, you could have just texted. The raccoons regarded me like I'd asked them a profoundly philosophical question, and then, with the kind of precision that makes you realize nature is basically the original artisan, they executed a perfect pirate lunge, snagged the last 2 slices, and scampered into the shadows like tiny velvet bandits. The sock, which I'd imagined shredded beyond recognition, was left on my doormat, damp but intact, smelling faintly of pizza grease and adventure. I sat on the porch steps eating cold pizza at 2:30 a.m. while rain finally started again, because what else do you do after a raccoon-led midnight heist but finish the story? Later, in the harsh daylight of rational thought, I would tell myself I'd hallucinated the bandanas, that my mind had stitched a narrative out of cat videos and too many late-night snacks. But the sock on my doormat, the faint grease on its toe, and a tiny, muddy paw print on the corner of the pizza box said otherwise. TIFU by waking up to what I thought was a mugger whispering at my window, and it turned out to be 2 raccoons staging a pizza and sock heist on my porch. I now have fewer inhibitions about eating cold pepperoni at 2 a.m., and am entertaining the idea of leaving out snacks for my new wildlife overlords. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to hear more interesting stories from Reddit.